I have this dream where I'm falling. You see, but the thing is that I'm not falling at all. I can see my feet firmly on the ground, and rather I only experience the feeling of being in free fall. I can't understand this strange instance. I can only explain it. I'm not afraid of heights in any way, nor have I ever been. It becomes increasingly frustrating that I'm unable to have my rational mind and my conscious body come to speaking terms with one another. It would certainly make more sense if I could look down and see some empty void, only a bunch of sky and clouds with wind engulfing me, only able to view the ground from miles away as it gets closer and closer and closer. But no, instead, the ground is right here, under my feet, and this somehow manages to induce me with even more fear. This is utterly annoying and completely disheartening to me. This is the first part of my dream. While I'm falling still, I look to my right, and there's this man, and he's staring at the ground meditatively. Out of curiosity, I ask him if he is also induced by this falling sensation. He breaks his concentration to look at me, to glare at me. He was very annoyed and offended by my remark, so much so that he begins chasing me. Suddenly my legs are free and I am no longer falling. I'm suddenly afraid for a reason entirely different, and this too is annoying. While I am running, I only care about getting away, so I don't ever look back. We haven't been running long, but it suddenly becomes night, and I am forced to move forward through the bushes and around trees in the dark. The patters of his feet turn into lights touching my back, and while this confuses me, I still refuse to look back and justify this other strange happening. And to further my confusion, I am tossed between to when I was standing still and falling, to now when I'm running and fleeing. I can't discern the two, and I'm not even sure which one I'm really doing. All the while, I can feel the man drawing closer to me, the lights burning heavier on my back. Then I decide to let whatever's happening to take over. I stop running. I jump. And then it all stops.
The tacky fingers of the little boy grip the slender string of the balloon. The wind blows. The boy cries as his tiny wonder is blown up, up, and away. Freedom for a moment. Beauty in the sights only seen from above. The blue of the balloon blends in with the daytime sky, a little speck of color. All hope is lost in the never-ending clouds, floating forever.
The pollen burns my nose, the wind my eyes. Discerning their edict, I'm envisioning their world of harebrained truths. Somewhat typical of my naive nature, I was intrigued and astonished. The longer I inhaled, the more saturated I became. Believing, acting, rebelling, screaming, laughing, falsely loving. A ting in my ear was an annoyance. A ringing I hoped would become tired and move to its next victim. The voice in my heart, in my head, in my soul. It was depleting me, anchoring me down. Recession, anger, inactively killing me. Confused and lividly terrified, my barriers caved. The bell was ringing, my kin calling me in. Oozing out, the light flourished. The rolls on the table. Heads bowed. The scarcity wholly ceased. Stomachs filled. Glowing expressions. The dinner bell called me home. Overwhelmingly focused, truth doused my being. I was within, without, with cause, meaningful, conscious clear, guilt-free, satisfied, walking slowly. Confidence, happiness, love, and tolerance awed me, pleasant with indifference and happily progressing. I was repaired, reborn, inexperienced yet fearless. The dinner bell called me home.
The heavy double doors opened. These pious doors invited the tired, the poor, with the glass reflecting the world beyond. Cars cluttered the lot, people even more. They seek rebirth, rejuvenation, joy, yet they stream into the sanctuary like a ritual they've long forgotten to enjoy. The music drones a tasteless Bloody Mary. The routine repeats once each week. The very religious go once more. They find it and buy what they seek, even if it is just a chore. Each is satisfied in his own way, yet most excise this memory and return home to face the day, dismissing the morning glory. This church preaches to the mainstream, seeks the masses by reaching for the heart. This church wants to reign supreme, for we are all welcome at Walmart.
People are flawed. We're prone to mistake, fault, fear, uncertainty, and insecurity. We have this shared desire to be understood that will never entirely be reached. I don't see it any other way.
I love you. Do you know that? I really do. I really do love you. When you look at me, that's when I know I want to be with you. Please be with me. Please be with me so that we can be happy. Your hugs are so loving. When you walk into a room, my day becomes a little brighter. When you leave, I long for the moments when you will return. Come back to me. We need each other. I love you with all my heart, now and forever. We'll always be together, and I'll always be yours.
To those eyes that have seen history, to those who unwillingly carry the duties of yesterday and today and tomorrow and forevermore, to those who have shunned from liberal conspiracy and romantic drivel, to mothers who have lost their sons to war and daughters to glowing screens, to those who count down to something different, to the few glad to be where they are, to the inhabitants of a broken world and those being mended, to those who don't get it and those who want to lovers, rapists, abusers, and drug users, to the forgiven and the forgetful, to the investors and the gamblers, to those who are holding on and those who've let go, to the working class and the workless, to the drones and the liars, to the hearth and the salamander, to everyone around here and everyone we don't yet know, to the defeated, to the cows and the poor, to those who want more and those who don't know what they want, to the just, to those who ask for too much and those who have yet to ask for anything, to the subjects, to the helpful and the helpless, to the collectors, to the spectators, to all the king's horses and all the king's men, to the child who cries when innocence dies, to those whose attention spans beyond election cycles, to thinkers who provoke, to the provoking and the provoked, to the idols and the pathetic, to the women who bear children and the children who know not yet what they are, to those who cannot read this, to the door holders, to the history buffs, to the self-important and the humble, to the children who wish to share with their parents, to those who can't sleep, can't write, can't eat, can't talk to people, to the absurdists who think that you're the weird one, to the clown and the poet, to those who say nothing and those who won't shut up, yet have nothing to say, to the responsible, to the meaningful, to the feminists and the chauvinists, to the unqualified and the overrated, to the antisocial, to those who still take baths, to the old and the new, to the dead and the living, to those who don't know what to do anymore, to the lawyers, employers, creators, and destroyers, and to the evangelicals who damn all of these sinners. You're not all that different.
It seemed odd that the cold rain outside my window always enveloped me with an overwhelming sense of warmth. I would often sit at my desk with nothing more than pen and paper and listen to the powerful rhythm of nature beating at the glass. My ink seemed to flow in a pattern similar to that of the storm. At times it was violent and unrelenting, and occasionally the story seemed to create a void, an eye of the storm, where everything was calm and serene, and the reader was left unaware of the impending danger. I peered out of my open window and dreamt of the places I would never go. The mountains, the rivers, the forests. I thought of the waterfalls that would never cascade over me, the waves that would never crash down upon me, and the sand that would never get stuck between my toes. I leaned back in my chair and tapped my fingernails against the desk as I gazed out of my window at the midsummer storm. She entered, staring at me with practiced eyes before heading to the window. Words must have flown from her mouth, but I heard nothing over the thunder. She slammed the window shut, folded her arms, and left. "I love you." They drifted from her lips like it had 1,000 times before. It was beginning to sound more and more like goodbye. The truth was that I was married and in love, but the recipients, like the concepts themselves, were separate. Unfortunately for it, there was a great oak growing ever so slowly at the base of my window. Year after year, its hardened branches grew larger until it had finally taken from me my one true love, the rain. On this night, I decided to finally strip the oak of its authority over me. I headed for the barn and found just what I needed, a rusty saw hanging by a nail in a spot that was just out of my reach. I should have taken this for a sign, but what I lack in clairvoyance I make up for in determination. I take great pride in sculpting the things I cannot see. I trekked through the mud and the rain and saw in hand until I was next to the mighty oak. I nestled the teeth upon its trunk and stood silently for a moment. As thunder growled and lightning flashed, I gave myself over completely to the rain. I worked hour after hour, deep into the night, until my hands bled and my fingers blistered. I forced my blade deeper and deeper into the wood. Bark flew from the tree with each cut, and I became so engrossed with the rhythm of the steel that I no longer felt the pain in my hands. Growing larger with each pass, it had crawled into my veins until it nestled into my soul. With the full moon directly overhead, the rain stopped. Silence erupted across the night sky. My breath slowed, and I looked up at the great oak. Water poured from my brow into my eyes, and sweat stinging before the rain could wash it away. All was calm. And as quickly as it had started, it began again. The rain beat down on my shoulders like drums as the thunder kept time. Hours continued to pass until shortly before dawn, the task was finished. The great oak would bother me no more. The rain had not stopped. Retiring to my room, I briefly smiled as I welcomed our reunion. Too tired to remove my drenched clothes, I crawled into bed. Of course, this did not please her. She bolted upright, and noise started pouring from her mouth. She told me to think before I act. She told me to be more sensible. She told me to grow up. She'd always been this way. She never really understood me. She never even bothered to try. Year after year, her demands grew larger until she had finally taken from me my one true love, the rain. I headed to the barn.
Oliver Brown against Board of Education, helping America build a rising sensation, against the disease of racial discrimination, for the benefits of all in the free nation. O. Henry Twist. Justice Vincent sent for infinite vacation, and warned his end for the execution. Brown the first ended a national fascination, for racial discrimination was an elimination. O. Henry Twist. Brown the second called for specification, on problems of integration, on the problems of integration. And the states, and for the occasion, argued for deliberation. O. Henry Twist. The Supreme Court ended its case in 1954. The death sentence for racial discrimination was finally inching towards its conclusion. O. Henry Twist.
Just say something, you mean? Just say anything. Okay. I happen to think that the government is... Oh, I can't say anything about the government. So everyone says something about the government these days, you know?
Say something about Pounce.
This is Pounce. He's a very sweet cat. He likes to pounce on stuff, which is why his name is Pounce. Actually, his name is Pounce because it's on this Beanie Baby tag. Collect the whole set, you know?
Life at its best is never what you've pictured. Very unexpected, maybe even unwanted at the time, yet every moment is perfect. Living proof of the only truth that isn't true. Very underestimated, yet is every reason why our worlds go round. Lost is our life if we never learn the astounding skills which creates a life so unimaginably divine. If we but give up our time for this simple act, all we have to lose is our silence. To gain, a smile.
Avaricious beings consumed with devouring everything ferociously grasp at heinous ideals of justification, killing the laws of mankind and naturally offending perceivable qualities of relinquishing selfishness. These unsatisfactory vessels willingly exchange with you. Zilch.
Hello, how are you? Oh, I see. Well, do you understand why I... No, I don't think you're understanding me. It's not that I... Yes, I understand that perfectly well, but Yes, but it's just when... Well, you can't just say that. It's not fair when I'm... No, I see, but I heard that... Oh, well, you heard that? You heard that. Yes. No, I didn't understand that you heard that. That's much more reasonable now that you say that. Well, don't be. It's not that it could have been... There's no reason why we should be... I think you're overstating. Please don't. It's not that I meant to. Please stop. Talk to me, please. Why aren't you talking to me? I can't hear you.
High school is not all it's worked up to be. It isn't full of sunshine and happiness. There's so much drama that I go home nearly every day confused. It's just not right. People spend so much time working on their social lives and manipulating things to go their way that some even lose track of why they're at school in the first place. High school these days has been a whole lot of nothing, too. There's not a lot of stuff happening to even build up this much drama. The first thing that irritates me is the clique idea. If there weren't so many stereotypical cliques in high school, there wouldn't be quite as much drama. The cliques are the front runners of this problem. Cliques are constantly accepting and denying people like their organizations, when really they're just an insecure group of people. It's not fair to the included or the excluded. Another part of the drama is the egotistical and self-infatuated mentality. Some folks think of themselves as if they are so much better than everybody else. And those select few who fancy themselves in that manner, do not get it. High school is not about what you wore or who you talked to, but about education. It surprises me that through all of this turmoil, students in high school keep on going for more. It doesn't make sense, but it continues every day without missing a beat. There's an odd social addiction that comes along in high school, and some don't act upon it, but some do, which never ends well. And I hope that those who act on the social sweep of high school don't ruin their lives because of it.
So my sister was watching this movie on television about some pretty girl who was a gymnast or ice princess or whatever. And so I walked by and saw her watching this and said, "Oh, is this the one where she learns a valuable lesson at the end?" She didn't laugh. There is a place, somewhere between the subconscious and the pretentious, where ambition far exceeds talent, motivation is more important than incorporation, and the individual is bigger than the whole. This place is Danger Mountain, and it's a godsend to writers everywhere. Good writers understand that good writing is comprised of good grammar, good spelling, good syntax, and good diction. Great writers realize that there is no formula for great writing. One must remove himself from the mindset of the masses in order to understand his own definition of great writing. If content makes for great writing, then who has the right to judge it? How can the single most subjective aspect of literature be the measuring point of greatness? Should Harper Lee be discredited because she wasn't a black man? Should 1984 be regarded as refuse because Orwell died in 1950? Should Fahrenheit 451 be burned just because it would be so damned liberal? I think most of us would agree that these questions warrant a resounding no. One would be tempted to conjecture that an author needs no knowledge of the past or the future to write about either. It's as though the world never changes. While this simply isn't true, one thing has always remained constant: human nature. There will always be a place for great writing, labeled or otherwise, because it transcends the boundaries of every single segregating aspect of society. It binds us all together through one universal truth: conflict. Timeless writing is considered as such because it focuses on the things that define one's struggle with himself and his environment. The problem with this constant is exactly that: it never ends. We cannot eradicate conflict, whether we want to or not. Unfortunately, this is about a fight we simply cannot win. This is about nothing.
Our society sets us up to want or to expect things that ultimately will never be reasonable to hope for. Relationships. We have seen in movies, TV shows, and in books how we are supposed to meet that special someone, and bam, love, 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 love. The thing is, it doesn't work like that. The movies forget to mention that awkward stage in between. That stage between acquaintance and friend, between friend and more than a friend. Those weird, awkward stages when you both know what you want, but you act as though neither of you knows this. I hope you know this stage. But, hey, maybe you don't. Maybe I'm the only one who has that stage. People are so skeptical in our society, but we have to be. We have to question everything because there really are so many lies and untruths out trying to persuade us. Let's move on. Our sense of meaning. We feel that since we are here and it's now, we need everything now. We want anything and everything. We feel we are too good for things, and I'm not talking about people shopping at Target instead of Walmart, or at Hollister instead of Kohl's. I am talking about how we know the horrible atrocities occurring in the world, and we know we can make a difference, but we just sit back and watch. We don't do anything because, oh no, we can't give up our computers, cell phones, or our cheeseburgers. I mean, come on. By unplugging a cell phone charger when not in use, you can save so much energy and so many carbon footprints. There are simple things people can do each day, but the self-seekers in our society rarely take into consideration any action that doesn't offer immediate satisfaction.
The little surprises matter the most when you have nearly given up all hope.
I climb the tree and sit upon the throne. The tree, my fortress of both sleep and play. It brings all scenes and dreams from the unknown. My thought, an untamed mess, congest the day. I dream. The scene is hope. Nothing is true. Today I swing from vines and dare to fly. I run from beasts and laugh at the wide view. I see my own 2 feet walk on the sky. The sea is one that has no calm, just rage. My life is great. No fret, no fear. Just joy. I will not be the sole victim in the fear cage. I am a girl without a care, not coy. I wake among the few leaves left in fall. The fantasy is what made me stand tall.
There's a man sitting next to a woman on a train, and both of them are feeling slightly awkward, slightly embarrassed. You see, neither of them has anything to do, but neither is sure if it would be an annoyance to make conversation with the other. So the train continues to rattle, newspapers rustle, congested noses sniff, eyes avoid making contact. As you can imagine, it's a scene where simply no one is very comfortable. Over the intercom, the man hears a stop called. He knows he will be getting off shortly, so he wonders if he should offer a word to the woman next to him before it's too late. After all, they've been sitting together for hours, and not a phrase has passed between them. As the station comes into sight, he turns to her and says, "Your shoes are lovely. I like them a lot." At first the woman is stricken. The old hole-filled shoes have belonged to her for quite some time. They're just plain white shoes that she scribbled some notes and little pictures on with markers. Nonetheless, they are her favourites, and she quite fancies them herself. She looks at the man, relieved that this awful stretch of wordlessness has finally been broken. She smiles and thanks him, pauses and looks away, and again with a smile says, "You've just made my day. Thanks." But the train has stopped, and the man, a bit disappointed, stands up. He looks at her and smiles one last shy time. He steps off the train, and as he walks to the bus stop, the man realizes that those words from the woman have made his day. He is so happy at the prospect of making her day, making anyone's day at that. It was so simple, a compliment on her colourful shoes. He almost feels giddy. He has made her day.
Do I really know why I do what I do? Or do I just do what I believe is better? Do I know who I am? Or do I follow the straighter path? Do you know what I have to choose? Do you have to choose? Do I? Are you sure there is something more? I'm sure there's something more. There has to be more. There is always more. I know what is better. I know what I need to choose. How do I know? Because there is more, and there is always more.
Dearest Spalding, to answer your question, no. No one cares to learn anymore. Ignorance is preferred by most because it's easier. They don't want to think, they don't want to contemplate or question, or even to reflect. They're happier being stupid because it takes less effort. I'm not talking about schoolwork, and I'm not talking about memorizing a bunch of useless petty facts. I'm talking about questioning, but not just questioning. I'm talking about trying to answer the questions conjured instead of just pushing them to the side if it takes too much mental effort to resolve. We're slowly deadening our emotions. Our pain is only compared to our artificial cheerfulness. Our love is only as deep as our usage of a person. Nobody cares that we're always doing what we're told. Nobody cares that we cheapen our words with overuse. I love you. I'm sorry. What do those even mean? They're just phrases we shout at each other when we deem it necessary. Everyone just continues to ignore his own lack of knowledge. It's more fun to distract ourselves being histrionic, selfish imitations of what we think would please the other phonies. So we turn our shallow materialistic thoughts into a reality, and it becomes all we ever know. Because it's all we want. Look around you. Gaze at a gallery exhibition of idiocy. I'm finally numb to the complete and utter lack of concern displayed by anyone. What are these cattle living for? Does the physical world not deserve to be questioned? There are billions and trillions of objects, actions, people, experience that should merit our interest. And once you navigate your thoughts through the secular universe, there is a religious realm to ponder. Even if you decide that there is no spiritual dominion, at least you've used your reason and your intelligence to come to a conclusion. Not even daring to question what you've been taught is an offense. It's an unforgivable crime. Not unforgivable by me, or by some god, or by anyone but yourself. The relevancy we grant the universe is all it will ever be. We're only as significant as we realize.
I have this dream where I'm falling. It's all coming down and it's all happening so fast. But then things change. I see that I'm not falling at all. It's all lucid. It can all be controlled. I'm standing still. And then it all starts. This is about living and dying and believing and lying and happiness and pain and losses and gains. This is about trying and quitting and laughing and crying. This is about death and taxes and the American dream. This is about beauty and repugnance and harmony and dissonance and tears and fears and years and seconds and the latter and the last for the former, and those things that we hold to be true, and those lies people tell about me and you. This is about expression and depression, repression of aggression, and life lessons. This is about poetry in motion, and that which stands still at the top of the steps, quivering with anticipation at the thought of tumbling down, and rolling into a mass of creativity or lack thereof. This is about originality and imitation and unbridled inspiration. This is about giving up and giving in, and giving yourself over to the spirits that move you. This is about invoices and inner voices and those noises without sources. This is about vice and virtue and heaven and hell. This is about self-realization and self-reliance and self-consciousness. This is about the things that make ordinary men extraordinary and turn heroes into zeros. This is about life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, whether you are more interested in the pursuit of happiness. This is about the best of times and the worst of times, the times that try men's soul in the absence, transience, and ambience of time. This is about the things you wish you knew and the things you wish you could forget. This is about presidents setting precedents, rife with presence but bearing no presence. This is about classicism and romanticism and existentialism and nihilism and postmodernism. This is about the truths we hold to be self-evident, whether meaningful or irrelevant. This is about the spontaneous overflow of emotion that words can pierce like X-rays if you use them properly. This is about the number of things we can afford to leave alone while advancing confidently in the direction of our dreams. This is about swimming underwater while holding your breath and believing more in the scissors than the pencil. This is about hanging together so that we don't hang separately. This is about offering no excuse instead of a bad one. This is about speaking softly and carrying a big stick. This is about good deeds and terrible crimes, the bonds we break and the ties that bind. This is about you and me and everything in between. This is about everything.